Oh yeah, hot water, Gainz Nation.
Back
It's
at it.
Dude, it's like you know what I call this right now, this weather where it's like 50 degrees. It's like it's like the summer of the Midwest in the
Oh,
wintertime.
is it really like that nice in Chicago right now? I thought it was
Yeah.
like kind of. Oh wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
It's
Yes.
yeah, it's like
Yeah, I was gonna say it's like
40.
50.
Yeah, I think it's like 45 here today, for the high. So not too bad. Especially because like I think this morning the feels like temperature was like 26 degrees Fahrenheit. So I had to run to Walmart because we ran out of coffee, and Romy can't function without coffee. Games Nation. um,
Romy.
Romy. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah,
You know,
it
yeah.
was chilly this morning
Yeah, you know
for
what's weird
November.
about coffee right now, is that you know, I drink usually like one cup, maybe two, depending on if I work out early enough. Because when I work out early enough, I'm just like, well, I'll just have a second one. It's only like 9 or 10 a.m. Right? But you know what's weird lately is I don't know if it's like the acidity in coffee, but lately I've been just like, dude, it's like gives me like stomach trouble sometimes. It's like, dude, it like,
Yeah.
and it just like makes me like nauseous a little bit. It's like kind of weird. Like I said before, you know, hey, I wish I wasn't as caffeine sensitive, and I wish it didn't like hurt my stomach as much because I'd be drinking coffee like 2 or 3 times a day.
Do you ever have it with a snack like a banana in the morning or like maybe like a bowl of Greek yogurt and like an apple or something? Have you ever tried to have a snack like in tandem or just before?
Yeah, so no, I usually drink my coffee pretty much after breakfast, and I
Yeah.
still have that issue.
Wow. Huh.
So like this morning it wasn't too bad because I only drank like half a cup. For some reason, you know, I'm not always the smartest, but you know, like I'll like estimate like 1 cup for Sam and I, and for some reason I poured her cup, and then I could only pour a half cup of mine. So I was like, all right, something I must be off today with like my measurement. So I drank a half a cup today, and it wasn't no big deal. Had a pretty good workout after that. But yeah, most of the time it's pretty much right after breakfast, and I don't really even take a sip until I'm like done eating. So I just kind of wait because maybe it's because I pour it right away. It's like I'm not gonna burn my mouth. And then the second cup maybe makes me nauseous because I don't. Maybe that's what it is. I don't typically. I'll have it before lunch, so like that's what it is. But man, it just like kills my stomach. Like every time it kills my stomach, though, I do eat right away because like I just can't wait because it feels like I'm gonna throw up. That's how bad it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. That's so wacky. Because I've heard people get like that, but it'll usually be on an empty stomach. And every once in a while, something like that will happen to me. But if I have something with it, I'm usually fine. So that's very interesting, buddy. Huh?
Yeah, but it's the same thing with I think it's just caffeine in general for me because if I have like an energy drink after working out instead of coffee, because typically like sometimes I might have like an energy drink instead of a second cup of coffee, and it kind of does the same thing for my stomach. So it has to be the caffeine. It can't be. I don't know. I mean, I don't. Yeah,
Um,
I don't know, dude.
Tea kind of does that to me. Like if I have tea on an empty stomach, I feel like kind of full and like a little tiny bit bloated and like
Yeah.
a little like sick to the stomach. So I won't ever have tea like on an empty stomach. So if I have tea, I'll have like, maybe like a slice of toast with it or like Greek yogurt and a apple or something along those lines. But I almost will never. And it's almost entirely like either black tea or green tea. Any like caffeinated tea.
Yeah, you know what? I actually was drinking quite a bit of tea last week. I got ran through with the vid. Man, that was not fun. You know, it was like weird. I got it was like a common cold, and then like 2 or 3 days later, I just got whacked again with like
Yeah.
another weird sickness. But it was pretty. You know, it's one of those things. You know, maybe that's why I never really get out of shape because man, I get really antsy and it's just hard for me to sit still for like a day straight, you know, like let
Yeah.
alone like 2 3 days. But I missed, so I stopped going to the gym Wednesday of last week, and then my first day with back was this Monday. So I was pretty much out for Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Yeah, almost 6 days.
Wow.
Yeah, but I was taking walks. So pretty much. I think that's the one thing I still do. Not as much because, man, I was like weak to a point where I couldn't even really walk like a mile and a half. It was kind of weird. It just like was killing my body. But yeah, I still was walking because I just think sunlight's just too vital for you. And obviously I'm outside right now in the afternoon. So I just try to get as much as possible, even when I'm sick, because I just feel like it heals a little bit more or a little bit better. I don't know. But
yeah. And I honestly like I feel like my body felt like a little bit more like curmudgeon-y the past couple of days. And like when I think back on it, my step count was a little bit lower recently. And I also spent less time outside just because I've been like plugging into work early and I work like a little late and whatnot. And
yeah.
now in like the Northeast, like the sun comes up about 6:50-ish and it goes down at like 4:20 or something. So
Yeah.
it's like
Yep.
the entire time we're working, you know?
Yeah, and that's like the sad thing about it, but you know what? That's why I always try to get out, like especially during the winter months. It's more, I make myself go morning, afternoon, late afternoon walks. Like that's a must. Like I try to go to walk before like you said, like before 4:20, before 4:30, or just go outside, right? So it's just like I'll even sit outside, like one of the days when I was sick. I didn't feel like walking, and it was pretty cold, but I set up a bonfire and just sat by the fire, and then just sat in the sun for like 2 hours or an hour and a half because I just, I'm like, hey, I don't feel like I don't have energy for going for a walk. I can't go to the gym. But yeah, I missed the gym quite a bit. I was like, damn, I had so much. So I was like, man, I took some days off of work. I was, trying to enjoy family time, and I couldn't do either of the ones. So the only thing I was enjoying was football the whole week.
Oh yeah, and that was Thanksgiving week too. Okay, there's some good games. Thanksgiving week. Yeah, we were spoiled. So we had Monday, Thursday, Friday, Sunday, right?
Yep.
It was 4 days of football last week.
Yeah, I caught that. I caught that Ohio State and Michigan game because I like Marvin Harrison Jr. So he's a monster. But what are you saying? What now?
Absolute beast. I've also been getting into some Marvin Harrison Jr.
I don't watch college football either. So
this year is the first year that I'm actually tuning in. So I guess since we're going down the football route, my Patriots are not doing good. We're 2-9 right now.
Worse than the Chicago Bears. I mean, how do you feel?
Yeah, I mean, we're easily the worst team in the NFL, and I think like we might be worse than the Carolina Panthers, and definitely worse than Arizona Cardinals because like
shout out to my boy Adam Thielen.
He actually has
I think he has the most receiving yards on that team.
Yeah, he does. I think by far. But he saved me like quite a bit in my on my fantasy teams this year.
Do you put him in your flex?
Yeah, I had him as flex for a few weeks. I had him as like my wide receiver 2 for a couple of weeks. I've taken him out recently with like his slump. I don't know, unless I have some like injuries, I don't know if I'll like start him again. Just because like of like the downward trajectory. And it kind of depends on like what the Panthers schedule looks like moving forward. But I mean, so far, like, I mean, man, at the like the best case scenario, because like what I was like kind of advocating for at the beginning of the season was like, I know the Patriots aren't going to make it like a deep like postseason run, but like I think we're like between like that 10 to 20 range. We're a middling team, and like I think the best case that you could argue for us right now is like bottom 5, and it's solely based off our defense. Like that's it.
I think you guys are just trying to get rid of Mac Jones and trying to get Caleb Williams.
Yeah, I unfortunately I think I've joined the tank for Caleb Williams crew. Like if we so this is gonna be my hot take. If we draft like Marvin Harrison Jr. In like
That'd
first round, or like an Olu Fashanu, for example, and he moves to left tackle. Trent Brown moves on. Cole Strange, breakout year for his third season. David Andrews comes back. He's like looking good and healthy. We have Antonio Mafi or City Sao for our right guard, and we signed back Mike Onwenu. I think that can be a fairly serviceable offensive line. I think Mike Gesicki's gone, unfortunately. I think we've misused him, and we didn't use him to his capacity this year. I'd like to re-sign Hunter Henry. I hope Pharaoh Brown comes back because I love his physicality. So we got Marvin Harrison Jr. We're keeping Pop Douglas. Pop was definitely hit this year in the draft. I want to pick up T. Higgins. I think we can actually pick him up fairly cheap. Like a 3-year deal, maybe like 7 to 9 guaranteed with some incentives. And then pick up Mike Evans for just like a little bit more than that. And that's essentially our wide receiver room. We have to find a way to offload Devontae Parker. Sorry, Juju. I love you, man. Maybe bring back Kendrick Bourne with like lots of incentives. So like very low contract, but lots of incentives based off of like his gameplay to make sure like he's properly rehabbing his injury because he had a torn ACL this season. And he has been our like wide receiver 1 recently. Get rid of Tyquan Thornton. Sorry, buddy. It didn't work. Re-sign Zeke for at least another year. Get Ramondre on a multi-year contract that's favorable to the Pats. I think we could have a serviceable offense, and our defense next year, like with Christian Gonzalez back, like Matthew Judon at like full strength. Keon White like is coming into it. Dietrich Wise is looking pretty nice. I love Peppers. Peppers is like such a freaking like hard hitter, man. He reminds me of like old school Rodney Harrison. I think we'd be dangerous this year. So I think we have to do a little bit. We have to have some luck, and we have to have a couple of like strong picks in the draft. But I think we can also hit free agency pretty hard. We're supposed to have a lot of cash to throw around. So I would be okay if we surrounded those weapons with Mac Jones, one more year of Mac Jones, see if we want to give him that 5th-year option. But on the quarterback front, because I think we probably will go quarterback round 1, I think I want to see a mobile quarterback. It doesn't have to be the first person I'm going to name. It doesn't have to be him, but I think he might be one of the more intriguing options for us. Jaden Daniels at LSU. That dude is like freaking – he's getting comparisons to Lamar Jackson. And what I like about Jaden Daniels is I think he's more pro-ready than Malik Cunningham. So we could elevate Malik from the practice squad for our QB2, trade away Mac for whatever we can get. Sorry, buddy. Probably keep Zappion as our QB3 or our practice squad quarterback, just in case if something happens like Jaden Daniels, because Jaden Daniels is very physical. He's a very physical runner. He runs like a 4.5, 4.55, 40. The dude is lightning quick. But I'd also be super happy with like a Michael Penix from Washington. And then if we're able to somehow swing picking up Rome Odunze, that's his number 1 wide receiver at Washington. Whoo-wee, man, I love that. Michael Penix is like a lefty. He like flicks his hand just like this, 60 yards, like easy. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm looking at. I'd be happy with Caleb Williams, Drake May, of course, but I don't know. What do we have? We're 2-9, so we have 7 more games to go. It's been so painful. I've been a Patriots fan since I was like 3 years old, and man, it is like last year at times it was hard to watch. This year, like it's been really hard to watch. I'm like when we get a first down, buddy, I'm like jumping for joy. Like my brother, he's like not a huge football fan. He's just like, bro, you were really excited when the Pats got that first. I'm like, yeah, the first in the game. Like we're in the 3rd quarter. We just got our first down. They've been hard to watch recently. Yeah. What about how are you feeling about your Vikings, buddy?
Well, first of all, I was watching the Dolphins Hard Knocks. They just started a new season with the Dolphins. And I didn't even know Wes Welker was the wide receiver coach for the Dolphins. That's pretty damn cool. I love Wes Welker. I was like, damn, maybe the Pats need to pick him up as a wide receiver coach too.
We got Troy Brown for our wide receiver coach.
Okay. Yeah, I just didn't know. Sometimes you just don't realize. Like, I don't really pay attention to like linebacker coaches, wide receiver coaches. It's like there's so many damn coaches on a team. it's like I can't go on every team and see who's coaching where. But it was nice to see like Wes Welker still doing his thing and still working hard because man, that wide receiver squad is one of the best wide receiver squads probably in the NFL, hands down. Especially with Tyreek Hill. Chiefs, I'm sorry you blew that one. But yeah, man, that's a lot. That's a lot. I mean, it's a weird season. And Roman, I mean, I think we're kind of in the same boat. I don't think we're gonna go too far. Even though our record's a little bit better, it's like one of those things when you lose someone like Kirk Cousins, it's like it's hard to replace, especially a lot of the times when people try to put a new quarterback and like you were saying, a more mobile quarterback, like Josh Dobbs is a more mobile quarterback, but we're still playing and we're making him play calls where we're pretending like he's Kirk Cousins and he's like a pocket passer. Whereas like Josh Dobbs can break a tackle, go 5 yards, east or right or left and still throw the ball like 30 yards. So it's kind of a weird thing. The only thing I have to comment on, they have a big decision. Either play Jaron Hall, which is supposedly the quarterback that's supposed to be taken over after Kirk Cousins, or finish the season on with Josh Dobbs and try to get a wild card spot. Because I don't know if we're going to get the division anymore, losing to the Bears. We could have, but we lost to the Bears, which that's probably makes it very hard, especially when we had a little bit more losses than the Lions. But we'll see, because I mean, worst case scenario, I think, they might try to trade Kirk Cousins and get more defenders because our defense needs help. Our defense did really well against the Bears, allowing no touchdowns. They did beat us, but they didn't allow a single touchdown. So which is like pretty damn good in the NFL, right? I think that's if you're a defense and you gave up 3 or 4 field goals, that's a lot better than 3 or 4 touchdowns, in my opinion, and I think that's in their opinion too. But so we'll see. I was playing in my head. I was like, man, maybe trade Kirk Cousins to like, some team that has some like, I'm thinking of like a Jalen Ramsey or like the guy from the Packers. I forgot his name, but like if we
Alexander.
Exactly. Like, so if we trade someone like Kirk Cousins, like, hopefully we get someone like that and hoping that our quarterbacks can hold their own. It's one of those things. Also, too, Josh Dobbs is actually doing pretty well, and he might get an offer from someone like Carolina, someone like, Patriots maybe. Like, what if Bill Belichick doesn't want Mac Jones and he wants a more mobile guy like Josh Dobbs? It's like you never know. And it's a weird time. And if you get like someone like Josh Dobbs that could roll out and throw Marvin Harrison Jr. a 40-yard bomb, then that's good all around. So it's like one of those things. It's like, he has also options too. Like Josh Dobbs doesn't have to be committed to Minnesota. And if he shows out, if they let him play still, I think in reality, he had one really bad game. The rest were like so and good. So I think you got to look at the long run. But yeah, they have lots of decisions to make. So yeah, I don't know, man. It's the hard knock life of being a Vikings fan. Obviously Roman being a Patriots fan, he's been able to see Super Bowls. I still haven't in my 29 years of living. So it's one of those things where I can't expect anything, but you always want it to happen. They've been in the league since 1964, or was it 1960? It's either 60 or 64, and it's that's like 60. That's like almost 60 plus years. If it's 64, it's almost 60 years. It's like insane how. The only close time was when Diggs made that miracle catch, and then when Brett Favre was on our team. That was the only 2 times I thought we really had the Super Bowl, unfortunately. So,
but yeah. Buddy, like, man, so I think you need a running back that's like serviceable, because
Cam Akers was doing a hell of a job, and he tore his Achilles. And also too, I kind of wanted to talk about that too. I don't mean to like kind of cut out the topic of the day, but I know you're about to say something. But before I forget, Roman, with Kirk Cousins tearing his Achilles and Kirk Cousins in the same season, you gotta just wonder. And I had this conversation with someone at the gym, that who, he was a season holder for the Vikings, and he's been in Chicago. He had a lot of customers in Minnesota, and he was a season ticket holder. And I was telling him, I think, I just don't, and this could be a longer conversation, but I just think the tearing Achilles, multiple people in a season, Aaron Rodgers especially, I think it just goes to show that they're doing something wrong in the NFL. Their training, their equipment, the field. I think
recovery.
There's a combination. Yeah, recovery. I think there's a bunch of questions that no one's asking. Like, I mean, dude, if you look at Google, and I'm sorry for anyone who's listening and who's actually going to Google this, Google LeBron James's feet. Look at his feet and tell me if you think they're healthy. And I'm not going to ruin the surprise because I really want you to, unfortunately, Google search that. But you tell me what his feet look like. And I'm guessing football players' feet look like this too as well. So the fact that, the feet are not as strong when you're looking at a typical cleat, and you're talking about a turf field that is artificial, it's a lot harder than grass. And you're talking about, even soccer players have been getting terrible injuries with turf. So it's something that I think they need to look at, because longevity wise, like back in the day when there was not as much turf fields, I don't think people had like that many foot injuries when it came to, being in the game for so long. I mean, for crying out loud, look at Peyton Manning. He never even got injured besides that neck injury. Like, I don't remember him like ever taking time off. And he played damn near 15, 20 years.
He was also a beast. Like, he like, you kind of had to dig deep for this, but his last couple of seasons, that dude was barely functional outside of games. Like, there's like stories, and like he might have like talked about this himself, where like after a game, like when he was with the Broncos, he would just go in and sit down, and like he couldn't stand back up, and he couldn't take his shoulder pads off. He'd have to wait 45 minutes for his shoulders to for the inflammation to go down, just for his teammates and like the staff to help bring his arms up, and where he wasn't in excruciating pain, so they could take off his shoulder pads. So like that dude freaking left it all on the field. With turf, I think I've heard like many resources now, and I didn't have too many like negative experiences in this regard. But when I played football, I was like 150-pound human being. Like, we're talking about like Trent Brown for the New England Patriots, our left tackle, 6'5", 6'6", 380 pounds. He'll show up to a preseason sometimes. He's over 400 pounds. So the way that dude bears down on the turf is like fundamentally different than I am. I've heard players say like my cleats get caught up in like the weave of the turf itself. And that's what's like caused issues. Not only that, I can't tell you how many times I've seen players on the sidelines recently that are like trying to rinse out their eyes. They're getting like the little BBs that is like the fake dirt from the turf stuck in their eyes. So it's just like, man, I think that these are like a lot of issues that are unforeseen, because like with grass is, if you ever done landscaping before, try to grow grass, like it can be really finicky, and it needs a lot of water.
Doesn't Vegas do that? Doesn't Vegas grow their? So Vegas, to my knowledge, the Las Vegas Raiders, they grow their grass outside of the field, and they have like a farm, and they bring it in and roll it out. So I mean, Vegas is doing it now. So
yeah, it's totally doable. But you can, from what I understand, like you can make a muddy mess out of that too. Like if you don't do it like perfect, for example. So you can absolutely do it for sure. But yeah, I kind of wonder if like that's the only way to go back. So, but like I've also seen like Patrick Mahomes, for example, in the quarterback documentary, like during it like aired, I think, on Netflix during like the preseason. I wouldn't necessarily say that was like the most like, let's say, like evidence-based like workout. So if those are the types of workouts
Yeah, to your point, Mike Israetel has been doing like videos on like LeBron James's trainer, Mark Wahlberg's trainer. But yeah, it just seems that I was gonna say like that even that machine he was using where he's like the trainer was like talking up is like, oh yeah, it's a $20,000 machine, and this is why it makes Patrick Mahomes like Patrick Mahomes. I'm like, dude, chill. Like, are you sure about that? Like, I'm pretty sure if he just like worked out pretty hard and like kept in shape and like kept throwing the ball, like, he's Patrick Mahomes,
Yeah. I mean, I think I've heard, I don't remember who it is. I don't remember if it's like Tyreek Hill or if it's Ocho Cinco, but it was like either like a present, like Hall of Fame, like, future Hall of Fame wide receiver, or like somebody who like recently retired. They eat like McDonald's before a football game. Like they're like.
Oh, you're talking about Chad Johnson or Chad Ochocinco. That's what he would do.
Mm-hmm. I think it's Chad Ochocinco.
Yeah. So his idea behind that was he lived cheaply. So he didn't have a private chef. He never took private jets. He never did any of that, and he would live cheaply, kind of like you, Roman, just as cheap as possible, because he knew like football wasn't forever. He knew there was going to be his life afterwards. So he never bought like fancy chains, clothes. So I think that's the reasoning. And I think he just really liked McDonald's. He's like, I still have my favorite meal to this day,
I've heard him say too that like he believes that like his like metabolism is so like high, and like if you see that dude, like he's probably like, I don't know, 10, maybe 12% body fat, like, and like the workouts I have seen him do, like that dude is a beast. Like he probably spends like 2-3+ hours in the gym a day, or like doing physical activity. So like not only is he very active, not only does he have a lot of muscle mass to be able to like assist them in essentially like turning nutrients over. So like that's what I've like understood too, and like he said that as well. Like I need to eat like all this junk just so that I can kind of like maintain like where I'm at. And like if I were to eat like clean or whatnot, he was like, I don't have enough energy, yada all this stuff. So kind of like veering off the point, but where was I? I was gonna chat about Alexander Madison, who I think is actually a very talented running back, but I've seen Madison like play the best when Madison was able to like come in like relief with like Dalvin Cook, for example. And that's where, from what I understand, like he's more of like a bruiser back. He'll kind of punish you like Ramondre Stevenson, not necessarily like a shifty back like I don't know, like a Bijan Robinson or something along those lines. So
yeah, or a Chester Taylor. Chester Taylor did that behind Adrian Peterson, and Chester Taylor was the best second string or best RB2 Vikings he had.
Yeah, but I love that we've just been shooting it about football the whole time. It's amazing. But
no, you're fine. Go ahead.
Yeah, JJ with Jordan Addison. Like Jordan Addison is like a legit like wide receiver too for the Vikings, and TJ Hawkinson too. Like man, like I think like Minnesota is his new home. Like in year 2, he's looking nice with the Vikings. So I do think it's probably time, as sad as it is, to like move on from Kirky boy. I think that you do have some like nice elements to your defense. I think you add a few pieces to your offense. Like you all can be contending, and like man, your division is gonna be so fun to watch. Like the Vikings, like versus like the Lions. I think the Packers probably need a few more pieces than the Vikings do, and the Bears are like the Bears. they're a hot mess. So not to say that they couldn't turn around, because DJ Moore is looking real nice with the Bears. I do still think they need to give more time to Justin Fields, maybe give him another weapon or two on offense. And then just to kind of like true up the defense and just kind of see how it goes. But yeah, those were kind of my 2 cents there, buddy.
If you guys like football, you want to talk football, please like this video, share it to your friends, share it to your family. I hope you guys had a great Thanksgiving. Gainz Nation, we'll see you on the next one. Peace. All right, hit stop. Did I hit stop recording?
It still says